Most people wake up every single day and hit repeat on their lives without even realizing it. They're moving, but they're not really living. They're breathing, but they're not awake. They've fallen into this cycle where the alarm goes off, they rush through the morning, they go to work, they come home, they eat, they scroll, they sleep, and then they do it all over again the next day. And after years of that pattern, they wonder why they don't feel fulfilled, why they're not closer to their goals, why life feels empty. It's because they've been living on autopilot. They've handed over the steering wheel of their life to routine, to comfort, to what's easy, instead of consciously deciding where they want to go. If you're honest with yourself, you can admit you've done it too. You've let days slip by without purpose. Weeks go by without progress. Even years pass without any real movement toward the things you said you wanted. And it's not because you're lazy. It's because you stopped being intentional. You allowed comfort and familiarity to numb your ambition. And when you live like that long enough, you start to forget that you were created for more. Clarity begins the moment you decide you're not going to coast anymore. You have to wake yourself up and say, I'm done living a life that looks busy but goes nowhere. You can't get clarity when you're half asleep, distracted, or just going through the motions. It requires awareness. It requires breaking free from the routines that keep you stuck and asking yourself if the way you're living right now is aligned with the life you truly want. Because if it's not, then all the effort you're putting in every day is just keeping you on a treadmill, lots of movement, but no progress. I know it feels safe to stay in autopilot mode. It doesn't take much thought, and it doesn't require much courage. But the truth is that safety is costing you everything. It's costing you your dreams. It's costing you your time, and it's costing you your clarity. You don't get clarity in comfort zones. You get it when you shake yourself up, when you step outside of the routines, when you dare to pause and reflect on what's really happening in your life. So here's the challenge. Stop letting your days blur together. Stop living like time is endless, because it's not. Every morning you open your eyes is another opportunity to decide, do I want to live this day consciously, with intention, or am I just going to hit cruise control again? The moment you break out of autopilot and take ownership of your choices is the moment you start seeing with clarity. And once you can see clearly, you can finally move toward what you really want in life. The reason so many people feel stuck is because they're not asking themselves the right questions. They're asking shallow questions like, how can I make more money? Or how do I get promoted? And while there's nothing wrong with wanting financial growth or career advancement, those aren't the questions that get to the root of your clarity. Those are surface level questions. The real breakthroughs happen when you start asking yourself deeper, more honest questions, the kind that make you uncomfortable, the kind that force you to dig into who you really are and what you truly desire. You have to sit with yourself long enough to ask, what excites me? What do I do that makes me lose track of time because I'm so in love with it? What drains me so much that it feels like it's stealing my energy every single time I do it? If I knew I couldn't fail, what would I chase after? If I was at the end of my life, what would I regret not doing? Those are the questions that strip away the noise and start pointing you toward the truth. And it's not always comfortable to answer them, because sometimes the answers reveal that the life you've built doesn't match the life you really want. Sometimes the answers expose that you've been chasing approval, security, or a version of success that doesn't even belong to you. But that discomfort, that truth, that's where clarity is born. You can't expect clarity to come from the world around you. You can't wait for other people to hand it to you. Nobody else can tell you what you're meant to do, what will fulfill you, or what kind of life you should live. That's your responsibility. And it starts with the quality of the questions you ask yourself. If your questions are small, your vision will be small. If your questions are shallow, your clarity will be shallow. But if you dare to ask bigger, deeper, more challenging questions, your clarity will expand to match them. The beautiful part about asking the right questions is that the answers are already inside you. You don't need to go search for them in somebody else's story or in some external validation. They're in you, waiting for you to slow down long enough to listen. But most people are so distracted, so addicted to noise, so obsessed with comparing themselves to everyone else that they never stop to ask and answer. That's why their vision stays blurry and their life stays out of alignment. Clarity doesn't come from guessing or copying. It comes from asking, listening, and being brutally honest with yourself about what you really want. And once you've got the courage to ask those questions and face the answers, you'll unlock a level of direction and purpose that changes everything. Because when you start asking yourself the right questions, you'll finally begin to uncover the right answers. One of the biggest reasons people never find real clarity in life is because they've never separated what they actually want from what everyone else wants for them. From the moment you were a child, people started placing labels on you. Your family had expectations. Your teachers had opinions. Society painted a picture of what a successful life should look like. Go to school, get good grades, land a stable job, start a family, retire at 65. And if you're not careful, you wake up one day realizing you've been living someone else's blueprint, not your own. The noise of other people's desires, opinions, and approval is so loud that it drowns out your own voice. And that's why so many people feel empty, even when on paper they've done everything right. If you want clarity, you've got to be willing to cut through that noise. You've got to ask yourself, do I really want this? Or do I just want to be accepted? Am I chasing this goal because it lights me up? Or because I'm afraid of disappointing someone? Am I building this life because it's what fulfills me, or because it's what looks good on social media? Those are hard questions, but they're necessary if you're ever going to find out what's yours and what's just borrowed from somebody else's vision. It takes courage to admit that maybe the degree you pursued wasn't for you, it was for your parents, or that the career you've been climbing in isn't actually your passion. It's just a safe choice. Or that the lifestyle you've been showing off isn't making you happy, it's just keeping up with appearances. But that's the moment you start breaking free. That's the moment you separate the noise from your truth. The reality is, people will always have opinions. They will always project their fears, their insecurities, their limitations onto you. But clarity requires you to mute that background chatter and tune into your own frequency. You can't hear what you really want if you're constantly adjusting your life to fit what everyone else thinks you should want. That's why protecting your vision is so important. That's why you need the discipline to block out comparisons, to let go of unnecessary approval, to stop living for applause. Because the truth is, nobody else has to live with your choices but you. The moment you learn to silence the noise, you'll be shocked at how clear things become. The confusion lifts, the weight falls off your shoulders, and you start to see the difference between what excites your soul and what just looks good on the outside. And once you know that difference, you can stop wasting energy chasing what was never yours to begin with and start moving toward what you were truly called to do. Clarity gets lost when you measure your life with somebody else's ruler. Too many people are walking around frustrated, not because they're failing, but because they're chasing a definition of success that doesn't belong to them. They're working jobs they don't love, buying things they don't need, and living lives that don't inspire them, all because someone told them that's what it means to be successful. But let me ask you, what good is climbing the ladder if it's leaning against the wrong wall? What good is reaching the top if it's not the mountain you wanted to climb in the first place? That's not success. That's exhaustion disguised as achievement. At some point, you have to step back and ask yourself, what does success look like for me? Not for your parents, not for your friends, not for the world watching you, but for you. For some, success might be financial freedom, the ability to take care of their family, to never worry about bills again. For others, it's peace of mind. It's waking up without stress. It's knowing they're living life on their own terms. For some, success might be impact, changing lives, leaving a legacy, doing work that matters. And for others, it might be the freedom to travel, to explore, to live without being tied down. The point is, there's no single definition that fits everyone. The tragedy is when people settle for someone else's definition and then spend their entire lives wondering why they still feel empty. You've got to own your definition, because when you define success for yourself, you stop competing with people who aren't even running the same race as you. You stop comparing your chapter 2 to someone else's chapter 20. You stop beating yourself up for not achieving goals that were never yours to begin with. That's where clarity comes from, when you align your grind, your goals, and your lifestyle with what you've decided success means to you. The problem is, too many of us are more concerned with how our life looks than how it feels. We're chasing a highlight reel, a picture perfect version of success we think will impress people. But clarity doesn't care about appearances. It cares about alignment. You could be making 6 figures and still be broke in peace, broke in passion, broke in joy. Or you could be making half that and living a life so rich in fulfillment that no amount of money could buy it. Success isn't a number. It's a state of being. So stop letting society define it for you. Stop letting the world trick you into thinking you're behind because you don't have what they have. You're not behind. You're just running your own race. And once you define success on your own terms, you'll discover that clarity isn't about having it all. It's about having what truly matters to you. If you want clarity, you've got to be able to see it before you can touch it. Most people are vague about what they want, and that's why they never get it. They'll say things like, I just want to be successful, or I just want to be happy. But what does that mean? Success for you might not look like success for me. Happiness for you might not look like happiness for someone else. If you can't describe it, if you can't picture it, then how are you going to chase it? How are you going to recognize it when it finally shows up? You've got to be specific. You've got to build the picture in your mind until it becomes real. Think about it like this. When an architect designs a building, they don't just say, I want a tall structure with windows. No, they create blueprints, detailed plans down to the last inch. They can see the building in their mind long before the ground is even broken. That's the same way you've got to treat your vision. You need to be able to see the life you want with that level of detail. Where are you living? What kind of work are you doing? What does your day look like? Who's around you? How does it feel when you wake up in the morning? If you can't imagine it, you'll never manifest it. Visualization is powerful because it gives your mind a target. The human brain works best when it has direction. If you leave it in the dark, it will wander. But the moment you give it a clear picture, your thoughts, your habits, and even your subconscious start aligning with that image. It's like putting a destination into a GPS. You don't just get in the car and say, take me somewhere good. No, you type in the exact address. Then the system figures out the route. Life works the same way. Without a clear vision, you're just driving in circles. With one, you've got a destination. Don't underestimate the power of seeing yourself already there. If you can see yourself healthy, strong, and full of energy, you'll start making choices that move you in that direction. If you can see yourself in the career you love, you'll start building the skills and connections that lead you there. If you can see yourself surrounded by peace, joy, and people who uplift you, you'll start letting go of toxic influences. That picture in your mind becomes a magnet, pulling you closer to the life you truly want. And I know sometimes it feels impossible to picture a life you've never lived, but that's exactly why you need to. Because the moment you can visualize it, you've already taken the first step toward making it real. Clarity is not just about knowing, it's about seeing. And once you can see it, you'll start moving like it's already yours. Clarity without action is nothing more than a daydream. You can have the clearest vision in the world, you can write it down, visualize it, talk about it every single day. But if your daily habits don't line up with that vision, it's never going to happen. The truth is, your future isn't built in one big leap. It's built in the small, consistent steps you take every day. What you do daily is either bringing you closer to that vision or pulling you further away. That's why the little things matter so much, because over time, those little things become your life. People love to talk about big goals, but they don't love to examine their routines. And that's where the disconnect is. You can't say you want financial freedom while spending recklessly every weekend. You can't say you want to be healthy while skipping workouts and eating whatever's convenient. You can't say you want meaningful relationships while giving all your time and energy to distractions. The question isn't whether you want it. The question is whether your habits prove it. Because every habit is either a deposit into your vision or a withdrawal from it. That's the part most people don't want to face. They want the clarity, but they don't want the discipline that comes with it. But if you're serious about building the life you've envisioned, you've got to start aligning your actions with that picture. If you see yourself waking up early, energized, and productive, then you've got to start setting that alarm and actually getting up. If you see yourself running a business, then you've got to start carving out time after work to build it. If you see yourself strong, confident, and healthy, then you've got to start saying no to the habits that drain you and yes to the ones that fuel you. It's not about perfection. It's about consistency. One workout doesn't make you fit, just like one salad doesn't change your health. One saved dollar doesn't make you wealthy, just like one productive day doesn't transform your career. But stack those days, stack those choices, stack those habits, and that's how you build momentum. That's how your vision moves from your imagination into your reality. What people forget is that clarity sharpens as you move. The more consistent you are, the more you learn, the more adjustments you can make, and the clearer the picture becomes. But if you're standing still, waiting for everything to be perfect, waiting for clarity to magically appear before you act, you'll stay stuck. Your clarity is waiting on your habits to catch up to your vision. So ask yourself honestly, do my daily choices reflect the life I say I want, or do they reflect the life I'm settling for? Because when your habits finally line up with your vision, that's when clarity stops being a dream and starts becoming your reality. Too many people sit around waiting for the perfect plan, the perfect timing, the perfect level of confidence before they move. They think clarity is something that shows up fully formed like a lightning bolt, and only then can they begin. But life doesn't work like that. Clarity is not something you wait for. It's something you create, and you create it by moving, by trying, by failing, by adjusting, and by learning. The truth is, some of the things you think you want right now, you won't really know until you step into them. You won't know if it's the right fit until you test it out in real life. Think about how children learn. They don't wait until they know how to walk perfectly before they take their first step. They fall, they stumble, they bruise themselves. But in the process, they figure it out. That's exactly how clarity works. You're not supposed to have every detail figured out before you start. You figure it out along the way. Every mistake, every detour, every setback teaches you something about what works for you and what doesn't. The problem is, most people are so afraid of failure that they never give themselves the chance to find out. They'd rather stay still in confusion than move forward in uncertainty. But stillness never brings clarity. Motion does. You've got to be willing to experiment. Try that business idea, even if you don't know every detail. Take that class, even if you're not sure it's the perfect career path. Speak up, even if your voice shakes. Because every time you take action, you either move closer to what you want or you eliminate something that isn't for you. Either way, you're gaining clarity. The only way you lose is by doing nothing. And let's be real, failure is not the opposite of clarity. It's part of it. Failure is feedback. Failure is direction. Every time something doesn't work, it's pointing you towards something that might. But if you're so afraid of getting it wrong, you'll never get it right. You've got to learn to embrace the process of trial and error, because it's in the errors that the truth often reveals itself. Nobody ever builds the perfect life on the first try. It takes attempts, adjustments, and persistence. The people who have clarity today are the ones who were willing to look foolish yesterday. They were willing to fall to get back up, to fail forward until they discovered what fit. That's how you carve your path, through movement, not hesitation. So stop waiting for the perfect plan. Stop waiting until you feel completely ready. You'll never feel ready. But the moment you take that first step, you'll realize that clarity doesn't come to the ones who sit still. It comes to the ones who are willing to move. Clarity is fragile if you don't protect it. You can spend hours, days, even years working on your vision, sharpening your focus and aligning your habits. But if you let every distraction, every negative influence, every toxic voice creep in, your clarity will blur again. You can't expect to stay locked in on your goals if you're constantly allowing the wrong things and the wrong people to take up space in your mind. Protecting your peace isn't just about feeling good. It's about keeping your vision intact. Look around at your life right now. How many hours are being stolen by endless scrolling, by pointless arguments, by gossip, by environments that don't add any value to you? How much energy is being drained by people who don't believe in you, who mock your dreams, who feed you doubt every time you talk about your goals? It's not always obvious, but those things chip away at your clarity little by little until you're confused, overwhelmed, and unsure of yourself again. If you're serious about building the life you want, you've got to be ruthless about protecting your mental space. That means cutting off distractions, setting boundaries, and learning how to say no, even when it's uncomfortable. Clarity grows in environments that support it. If you want to be focused, surround yourself with people who are focused. If you want to be disciplined, spend time with people who are disciplined. If you want to believe in your vision, connect with people who believe in theirs. Your circle either sharpens your clarity or clouds it. You can expect to fly if you're hanging around people who are content crawling. That doesn't mean you stop loving people. It means you love your future enough to guard it. And it's not just about people. It's about what you consume, what you watch, what you listen to, what you allow into your spirit. Everything you let in is either reinforcing your vision or weakening it. If you spend more time absorbing negativity than building your future, don't be surprised when your clarity disappears. Protecting your peace is about being intentional with what you let influence you, because clarity doesn't survive in chaos, it thrives in focus. Sometimes protecting your peace means turning off the noise, being still, reflecting, and reconnecting with your why. Sometimes it means removing yourself from situations that no longer serve you. And sometimes it means having the courage to let go of things that once fit but no longer align with the life you're building. The more you protect your peace, the stronger your clarity becomes. Because here's the truth: you can have the vision, you can have the plan, you can even have the habits. But if you don't protect your peace, you'll never have the focus to see it through. Guard your clarity like it's your most valuable treasure, because it is. And once you protect it, nothing and no one can take from you the life you're meant to live.